So I'm hoping everyone can see that. And can I get a thumbs up? Make sure you guys can see it. Or Yep, perfect, thank you. Okay, so Google Chrome, unleash your power browser. So one of the things that we're going to be talking about here in Chrome is not just how to do bookmarks and stuff like that, but stuff that's actually has a lot of value to it. So I've given you guys the link before in the email, so you all should have a copy of that. That'll get you to the resources document that we're going to look at. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Trevor Beck. I work in our technology support department. I am a Google Apps for Education certified trainer innovator, which means I've taken a bunch of their tests and stuff, and I know a lot of stuff about Google, but I don't get paid by Google at all. Once in a while, I get a free pin or something like that, but that's about it. So what we're going to talk about today is we're going to look at some of the browser settings and profiles. If you've never used profiles, this is awesome. This allows you to log into multiple accounts at the same time. So you're not doing that account switching thing that you normally would end up doing. We're going to talk about the search box at the top. It's not just for Google, and I use it every day, like probably 20 times a day easily. We'll look at some tab work. A little bit about bookmarks, and if we have time, maybe a couple of Chrome extensions, but we'll see where that comes from. Oh, that's not all. That's the end of that. So here's the document. My top tips, I like to start off with that first. So open recently closed tabs. If you've ever done this where you come up here and you close a tab and you go, oh nuts, I didn't mean to close that tab. You can bring it back by using Control-Shift-T. Control-Shift-T will close back. And if I have 15 different tabs and I go close all of them, da-dum, 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 I just keep hitting Control-Shift-T, and it just keeps going back in history until you get caught up to where you want. That tip itself pretty much is worth the time as it is. Stop background videos from playing. I have usually a number of windows open with a number of tabs. There's usually about 200 tabs open, which I know sounds really bad, but that's me. And there's always some video that starts playing. So you won't be able to hear this, but I'm going to just get this video going here. That's not the video. Come on. Oh, did I hit an ad? Give me the video, please. So with the video going and playing in the back, if it's in the background, if you're lucky, you can see it, sometimes it shows up here, but where you want to go is off to the right here. You'll see this thing with a bunch of lines and a music note. This is a music controller, and when you click on it, it's going to show you all the tabs that have videos playing. So if I had 4 or 5 videos playing, they would all show up here. Let me just do that real quick. I'm just going to open this up. I'll open that one up. Open a new tab.
Trevor.
Open new tab. Yep.
Would that thing with the music note only appear if you have tabs open that are playing video, things? Yes. But if you don't have something open, then that symbol would not appear? Okay.
That's correct. It only shows up when it's ready to go. Oh, what happened? It was just there a second ago and now it just disappeared. That is weird. Well, imagine if you will that it's still back there and the videos are playing. So with the you got a video playing? Oh, you know what? I think it's because I muted it. That's what it was. So you can't hear it very much. But so now I've got 2 videos going here. When I click here, they're both on, and I can just quickly mute them. Or if I want to jump right to that tab, I can just click on that one, and it'll pop me right over to that tab. This gets rid of that video playing in the background that we all have, and I'm bad for that. When they introduced this, it was like a awe moment. It was oh my God, this is amazing. So yes, the video player only typically works when you've got something playing there. The other thing is, you notice I've got a bunch of tabs, and as I mentioned before, I have multiple windows and multiple tabs open up. And it used to be a pain to try and find stuff. I'd be switching different windows, trying to find the tab I was working on and stuff like that. Well, there's this little down arrow here, and when you click on it, it's going to show you all your open tabs, all your recently closed, but the best part is I can search for it. So if I can remember the title of whatever it was, I can throw it on there. So for example, there was super simple. So there I'm going to type it in. I can see that, click on it, and it takes me to that tab. So for someone like me, multiple windows, like 200 tabs, no lie, it makes it really easy for me to find the documents that I'm working on. Link to text on a page. This is awesome. So I'm just going to go into here. So there's a document here. So before, when we were trying to share some information with someone, we could only just send them the document, or sorry, the URL, and then send them that and say, scroll down to the part, or do a control find on the page and find something. But Google added this great feature where I can highlight a piece of text, and when I right click on it, you'll see a copy link to highlight. And so what happens now is it gives me a much longer URL. So I'm just going to hit paste here so you can see it. But what you don't realize is that long URL is that when someone clicks on it, will take them down to the paragraph you highlighted and actually highlight it again. Now, this is a Chrome feature. Chrome is also the base for Microsoft Edge and Firefox. So a lot of the features that we talk about will work on all of those browsers. This one here of the highlight, I think Firefox does not, but Edge finally got it working. So you'll be hit and miss. But the beauty of it, if nothing else, it'll take them to the right page. If the browser supports it, it'll take them down to that paragraph. So that's really handy when you're trying to specify, this paragraph or whatever. And lastly, there's something called Chrome apps. So if I was to pull out, I just had one up here. I saw it. Where was it? I'm just going to pull up Outlook for the heck of it. Or no, yeah, I'll do Outlook. So outlook.com, MacEwan.ca. Oh, don't do that. Will it work? Does it remember? I'm on my Mac connected to a Windows machine, so sometimes stuff doesn't work the way it's supposed to. And also, well, no, that didn't help out well. Now I got to change my password. Thank you for that. Oh, bad, Trevor. Imagine, if you will, when you get to one of these websites, see, will it do it here? There's a little thing here. And what this does, but it won't be a zoom. It'll be, I think it's a plus sign with a 0 on it. What it does is it creates what's called a Chrome app. So rather than my having to go into Chrome every time, it actually will create its own separate instance of that document, and then I can go and add that as a separate app. So it's still Chrome, but what it does is it treats it like an app. So it'll have its own little icon down at the bottom. It'll still be all the nice things that we want it to be. Come on, make it work for me. Is that it? That's not it. Anyways, I must have it set up already. But when you click on these things, this is a different thing. But when you click on it, like I said, it looks like this without the tail, but that will add it as a separate item. So whenever you see that, and if you use Microsoft, it will prompt you to say, hey, do you want to set this up as a Chrome app? It just means it's going to have its own little app here. It's still the browser version. It's still all that. So you just need to be aware of that. Any questions so far? Cool. All right, let's get into the fun stuff. So to begin with, I don't know if you guys have done this or not, but one of the things you definitely want to do is make sure that you've gone into Chrome here and logged in as yourself. The reason we do that is because all the settings that we do, all the settings that we work on, so all the bookmarks, any kind of preference settings and stuff like that, will get synced to the cloud. That way, if I log in with a different computer somewhere else using the same login, I'm going to have exactly the same thing show up on my computer. So if you don't have your name there, or your picture or anything like that, you probably need to log in. I'm just going to go in here and create a new instance altogether. So this would be what it would look like. I'm just going to continue without creating an account. So I'm just going to call this test. And we'll hit, don't need a shortcut, we'll hit done. So your thing will look something like this. It'll just be this generic thing here. And if you want, you can log in by going into the 3 dots. And we're going to go into our settings here. So there's my settings. Turn on sync. If it's not on, that's what you want to turn on. Now, depending on what you've set it up, the bookmarks there, if those are your personal bookmarks, you don't want to sync that with your MacEwan account. If it's your work account, and you don't want to use your personal account. But I'm going to go in here and I'm going to create I'm going to sync to an account that I've already created. So I'm going to go in my, I have a test account. So clark.kent@gtrainerdemo.bec.ca. Oops, come on, try again. Now watch what's happening here. So first of all, it says, Trevor, this is an account. So this is a separate profile. And it's the profile I'm going to use whenever I'm working with Clark Kent. So I'm going to say, if it asked for it, yes. Sometimes it doesn't ask you to do a profile. But I'm going to go in here and create this profile. Now, first thing that happens, and the window will look like this or might look like something different. But if it asks to turn on sync, always look at the settings first. And I'll show you where you can find those settings in a bit. But here it's still a setup process. What do you want to sync? So I used to have, I mean, I've got a number of computers. I've got work computer, home computer, my mobile devices. Do I want to sync everything? Well, let's take a look at what that's going to mean. Do I want to sync the data for apps, for bookmarks, different extensions, history, all sorts of things? I usually go and I go in here and I turn some things off. So the first thing I turn off is open tabs. If I have 272 tabs open on my work account, I do not want 272 tabs opening up on my personal computer. So I'm just going to make sure I turn that off. You can decide what you want to sync back and forth. Themes, settings, histories, extensions. I always say, sure, go for it, because I've spent time doing that. And we'll talk a bit more about that in a bit. So I've got my settings all set up. I'm going to go back here and I'm going to confirm this. And watch what happens up here. All of a sudden, my bookmarks that were never there suddenly showed up. The color is going to change in a second. The color, there we are. And that's all these settings that I had already associated with Clark Kent. So when I do this, I can create a different instance for that. Now, one of the cool things about this is I can create a profile for every account. So when I go look over here, this is my Clark Kent account. Let's go take a look at my Jazz, because this is another one of my test accounts. Notice Jazz is brown. It's easy to find her. I can see Jazz's icon up there. So this is all of Jazz's information. So when I go to Gmail and Google Calendar and Google Drive, that's in Jazz's account. If I'm over here and go to Gmail and Google Drive, that's in Clark Kent's account. If I want to, I can pull up Trevor at work. And so what this allows us with profiles to do is, instead of doing that switching thing that you often will find people do, I can create profiles, and it's a lot faster because I just go up top here and go, hey, I want Clark Kent. I'm going to pull him up. Bang, there's his window. I don't have to log in and out. And because of the way I work, I'm always testing stuff. It's important for me to go in and check things from different accounts. One of the things that's really important about that is when you go into the settings here, is when you go to appearance and you can pick a theme. So the theme basically is the color scheme. And you'll notice here, I'm just going to make this a little bit smaller window. But it's really easy for me to figure out what window I'm at, because look at all the different colors. That's the Jazz account. That's my work account. Whoops, go back. Work account, Jazz account, Clark Kent's account. And I can track all that because I've got different colors and stuff. That to me is really important for you to do. I've put in a couple links in under profiles and how to set it up. There's a couple videos in there that are really, really good to show you more about that. But I can't stress enough that profiles and changing colors so you can quickly identify windows will make your life so much easier, even if all you're doing is just work and personal accounts. All right, let's go over here. So I'm going to work in Superman here or in Clark Kent here for a while. We'll work into his account. So again, if I go into my settings here, we'll just quickly go through my top level. So there's my Clark Kent. The syncing's turned on. This is where I would go to choose what I want to sync, how to manage my Google account. And that's a little bit different. That's at the very high level of managing your account and stuff. We'll leave that there. But there's where I can customize my profile a bit more. And if I want, I can import bookmarks and settings from somewhere else. So if I've already done all this work in Firefox, I could import the bookmarks and some of the other settings and stuff like that. Next thing is autofill. 3 items that they put down there. Passwords we'll talk about in a bit, but I'm going to go down to addresses and more. Whenever you fill out a form, especially if you do it a lot of forms, it gets to be a pain to go in there and try and fill out all the same information all the time. By going into here and clicking add, you can add different emails and different addresses and all sorts of things, depending on what you want. So for example, look, we've got Superman here and Clark Kent. So when we go edit, which is the same as add, I customize the information. So there's going to be Superman, Justice League. I could have a different address, and I can do Kal-El at krypton.com. That's fun. So I'll do that. And then I also have Clark Kent. So this might be my personal address or something like that. Quite often when I used to order a bunch of stuff before Amazon became so popular, I would go in and I would have a lot of my stuff delivered to my mom, because that way I could go in and surprise my wife. So I would have things like this set up. So how does this work? Well, I'm going to go up here to a form. So here's a form, and the easiest thing is you start with the email. So here's a bunch, there's a couple of them different here, but I'm going to type in Kal-El. It says, hey, there's the Superman information. And of course, Superman didn't have a last name, so it's not put in there, but it got filled in. Look, the country got filled in as well. Let's go with Clark. Whoops, after I spell it right. Instead now, if this was empty, because that Superman was in there, get out of there. Try that again. Clark Kent, there we are. Notice Clark Kent's information all gets filled in. So you can quickly fill out these forms. And like I said, you can pick and choose based on an email, or you can search by a name or something, but it just makes filling that out a lot faster. And the more information that you fill out in that in the settings there, the easier it is for you. Let's go back. Did I lose that settings page? Oh, I did. There we go. Go back. Yeah, we got that. Passwords. You'll notice quite often when you go somewhere and try and fill out a password that it gets saved to your document. So, or it will often prompt it. So I'm going to go into here. I'm going to go into Dropbox. I'm going to go into my account. And Jazz has an account somewhere. I should have just filled it out here. Jazz Poodle. And then I would put in my password, whatever it is. The moment that I go in and create or sign in, I will get, oh yeah, right, at gmail.com. We'll get rid of Jazz the Poodle. Let's make that look pretty. So the moment I would go sign in or something, you'll often get a little thing pop up in the window here saying, hey, do you want to save the password? Well, the answer would be yes. And that password stuff gets saved right into here. And so it will automatically, once you do that, you can see it says offer to save passwords or auto sign in. Once I've gone in and added the password into this account, anytime that I go into here and try and log into that space, it's going to say, hey, it looks like you're trying to get in here. I will auto populate it because I already know that your information's here. You've logged into your computer, you've logged in everything else. My passwords will now allow me to quickly go in and fill out all that data because it knows that it's me because I logged in, I authenticated. So yeah, so so sometimes you may want to say offer to save passwords or automatically sign in. It's up to you. I personally use 1Password as a password manager rather than Chrome, just my personal preference because I get more features out of it. So I actually turn off offer to save passwords because I want my password manager to look after that. But there's nothing wrong with using Chrome and storing stuff in there. Passwords also, autofill also includes payment methods. So you can throw in, if I wanted to, I could add in a credit card or a number of different credit cards in there. I'm more hesitant about doing that because if someone gets your password for your stuff, they have access to your credit card information. So personally, I don't put my credit card information in there. I use it 1Password, which is another tool, or else I'll manually add it in. Because for me, I'd rather take that extra time rather than having my credit card compromised. Any questions on any of this stuff? Yeah, it's kind of fun. Okay, we are going to talk 2 more things, and then we're going to have so much fun. Under advanced, there's languages. One of the nice things about this is that with Chrome is it's got Google Translate built right into it. Now, by default, this is set up, you have your spell checking, but it also, you can identify what's the language that you use the most often, and then you can customize some of that. But when I turn on this English language in there, it's gonna, when I go to a different web page that's in different language, I get this prompt here. Hey, it's French, do you want me to translate it? And all I have to do is say, yeah, I would like to see this in English. And there we go. So if you watch this again, I'll go from French to English. There it is. I'll switch it back to English again. And the nice thing is if I click on the page, it automatically loads it, then translate again. So I don't have to keep, when I'm on this site, I don't have to keep going, translate the page, translate the page, translate the page. I can keep going through. There is you'll see this little translate. I can go and turn it off if I want, or put it back to French. It's up to you. I like to have it on because when you're doing research, especially for those of you that like to do their lineage stuff, and you're in different Italian and German and French websites, this is a godsend. It makes it really easy to do that kind of research. No questions? Cool. All right. I'm going to switch back here. Settings. Do I want to talk about last thing I want to talk about here is in the settings here is on startup. So I've got an account that this is kind of locked out, but for you, when you're setting it up, you have a choice of whether when you start up your computer, do you just have an empty tab set up, like, you know, just that there, landing page, the home page? Do you continue where you left off, or specify a set of pages? So for example, continue where I left off. This is great for me because I have 200 tabs open. I open them up and my 200 tabs are usually come back. Not always, which is a danger of having 200 tabs open, but it will do that. Open a specific set of pages. You can, I think you can still list like 3 pages. So I always want my home pages to start up, maybe CNN as well as CBC. So I can list a bunch of pages there for a startup. So when I open up the browser, I get those pages and I'm rocking and rolling. We'll talk a bit more about how you can customize some of that stuff a little later using folders and stuff instead. All right, here comes the exciting part. We're all familiar with the Omnibox. That's what they call this place up here, where I'm either going to put in search terms or a URL. If we're in settings, we can take a look, and we can look under search engine, and it says, hey, you know what? The Google is my default search engine. I could pull up here and I could pick other search engines as a default. But managed search engine is what you want to look at. In here, by typing in a specific keyword, I can actually search another website. So for example, I'm often searching MacEwan University. I would do this. I would type in Mac. I would type in, Trevor Beck, and I hit search. Basically, this is the same as going to the MacEwan website, clicking on the search link at the top, typing in my query, hitting enter, and then get the search results. But instead, just by doing a little customization, I can search this piece here really quickly without going through all those steps. I might want to look at CBC. Let's see. So CBC, I'm going to hit tab here. I'm going to search CBC. Maybe I want to look at COVID rates or something like that. No, let's find something good. Let's find something about a puppy. And there I am. I've gone to CBC. I've hit their search. I've entered puppy, and there's all my results and stuff. So how do we do that? Well, it's actually pretty easy. Let me go and start with, well, let's see. Sure, let's use CBC here. So the easiest way to do it is it works with any website that has a search query in it. So let's just, for the heck of it, let's go to London Drugs. I think that was the one I was using. Let me just double check real quick. Best Buy, that's what it was. So we're going to go Best Buy. So Best Buy. And we're going to go to their website. Now, the thing about Best Buy search is they have tweaked their search a little bit so that if I type in headphones, that's a general category. So it does some redirecting and some magic and stuff. So to really take advantage of this, you want to put in something in there that is very unique. So if I went puppy kitty, and I'm going to go back here. Here up top, you can see my URL that's being used, and it says search is equal to puppy kitty. So that there is the query piece that we want. So we're going to grab this whole URL. So I'll copy that. And I'm going to go back into my settings. So remember we had our search engine here. So I'm going to add search engine. Now, first of all, it says, what is the search engine? What's the label that's going to show up? So when it says searching whatever, so I could call it Best Buy, BB, BBuy, whatever I want. But I'm going to do Best Buy as one word. The keyword is what are you going to type in and then hit tab to tell the Chrome that I want to search Best Buy. For me, I always do BB. So I'm going to be typing BB in the top there and hit tab. Then it's going to know that Trevor wants to search Best Buy. The URL, and here's where the tricky part comes in. I'm going to paste it in here. Now notice it says here %s, see if I can get that a bit bigger for you. Oh, there we are. %s in place of query. Well, my query here is puppy kitty. So I just do %s and add that. So now when I go up into a tab, we'll go over to CBC here. I'm going to get rid of, I highlight all of this. I hit BB and then I hit tab. And it says, hey, you're going to search Best Buy. Now I can look for that Sony headset with a plug-in. Let's do plug. I can't spell plug, and that's fine. But that's the term that it's searching for here on Best Buy. So, like I said, anything. Yeah, I know you couldn't find plug because there's no such thing as plug. But anything that you use, any search engine that's available, you can use this with. Some other examples that I use all the time, Google Drive. So let me just pull up Google Drive real quick. Drive.google.com. All right. So if you haven't looked into Google Drive or anything, I highly recommend it. But off to the side is these filters here. And it says here, go and do a search, but maybe just search by type. So I could search just for documents, just for spreadsheets, just for PDFs. Keep that in mind. But I'm just going to do a general search. So I'm going to be looking for, well, it looks like I got some photos in here of us. Let's go here, Unleash. All right, so I'm going to type in Unleash because apparently I have access to that. So there it is. Google Drive, there's my search query, Unleash. Well, I already have this in my settings here. So if I take a look, I have Drive. I call it G Drive, but I type in Drive. There's that query. So it's the exact same query that we saw there a second ago, but with the %s instead of my search query. So now I can go in Drive and Unleash. And there it is. I didn't go to Google Drive. I didn't have to hit the search. It does it all. Remember I said I could go in and I could specify something else. So let's say I went Unleash. I have a PowerPoint slide. I also have a spreadsheet or whatever. I can go in here and say, you know what? I only want to look for presentations or PDFs or forms. I'll just do a spreadsheet here and hit search. Here, everything's the same. The only difference is they've added on type : spreadsheet. But my query is still going to be Unleash or whatever terminology I use. So that's where my %s is going to be. So the query is type is this kind of type and whatever the word is. So that's where %s is. So now when I want to search just sheets, I do sheets and I type in whatever it is. I don't think I have any in this account, but there it is, looking for a spreadsheet with the word kitty in it. This here will save you so much time. And there's so many cool tricks that you can do with this. So let's say, for example, I'm over here on Sony. I'm interested in doing a search on CBC about these cloud gaming headsets. Okay, so Control L means location, which highlights this piece up here. So I'm just going to go back in and type in CBC headset. Now, if I hold the Shift key down when I hit Enter, watch what happens. It actually opens this up in a brand new window. So I can do my research, figure out what it is I want, go Control W, and close that window, and I'm back to the original window that had all the 4 items in it. I can do the same thing, Control L, and again, I'm going to go to CBC, and I'm going to type in kitty because I thought of a kitty thing. And if I hold down Shift and Control and hit Enter, whoops, I did it wrong again. It's in the directions. I always get this mixed up because it's my Mac. My Mac is the one that's making a mess here. Let's try it again. You see, kitty. No, it's not working. There it is. It actually opened it up as a new tab over there. So again, I'm on a Mac trying to control a computer or a Windows machine with a Mac keyboard. So I'm getting my keys mixed up, but it's in the document that I've linked to. So you'll find the proper shortcut keys in there. But you can do all sorts of stuff with all different search engines. So I really recommend take a look. OneDrive, I use OneDrive, or SharePoint. Just do one search in it, copy that URL, bang. Now you can quickly do a SharePoint search or a OneDrive search. Outlook, searching for emails in Outlook, you can do that through the web. So anything that's got a query up there, you can take advantage of this with. Questions? Comments? Cool factor. Does anyone want to give me a, come on.
I have a question.
Sure.
It's Aaron. If you're searching in SharePoint, then is it going to prompt you to log in if it's logged you out kind of thing?
Yeah.
Before it does that?
Yeah, it's no different than going to the website and stuff. So you still have to be logged in. But I mean, usually, so when I log in here with my MacEwan stuff in here, you don't get logged out very often with Outlook with Microsoft unless you actually say log me out. I think there's a 7 days or something like that. So you can set that up. Are you talking that every time that you try and log in, you have to authenticate and stuff?
I have to do that like every time I open anything.
Okay, let me show you a quick trick then. I'm going to open up a new Incognito window. So an Incognito window basically means it's like having a brand new browser. It's not logged into anything. So I'm going to go log into the portal, myportal.macewan.ca. And I'm going to throw in my stuff. You don't need to see it this time. So when it comes to authentication, remember me for 7 days. Check that off. My browser could, because this is a incognito window, won't save that because it's a little cookie. But you can check that off. So you only have to do that once every 7 days. And that'll make your life so much easier. Does that help?
Yes, so you're saying that I wouldn't do it in an incognito window if I wanted it to actually work. You're just doing this so that we aren't just demonstrating.
Yeah, and incognito doesn't hold on to anything. So as soon as I close this, it's even if I logged, like if I went through all the steps to log in, it would have logged me out, because that's the whole point of incognito is I am not logged in permanently. It's a quick blank window, and you log in to do your testing if you want, then you log out or close the window. And once you close the window, it's like a Etch-a-Sketch. It just wipes itself and you're starting all over again.
Can I ask why when you go to that original My Portal, it says, remember me, keep me logged in, but then if you check that box off, it never actually does that sort of thing?
It should, but it could also be that maybe you've set something up in your browser to not remember cookies.
Okay.
So if you want to book some time with me later in the week, like 15 minutes, we can sit down and just take a quick look at it. But I mean, it should. But also, I know that some browsers, like, so there are other browsers out there, like Brave is another one. I can't remember the other one. They're built on Chrome, but they've got even more tight controls on it. And I know that sometimes, like it took me forever with Brave, it just would not remember that 7-day click. I had to go in the back end and add a URL exception and stuff like that. So sometimes, depending on what security you've got, if you're using Explorer, I think Explorer has a slider on how secure you want your stuff in. If it goes too far, maybe that's what's doing it. But yeah, book 15 minutes with me later in the week, and we can, or next week, and we can take a look. Okay, any other questions? All right, let's keep on rocking. So let's talk about search real quickly. So when you're on a page, a lot of people don't think of this, but I mean, and believe they don't, but if it's a long page and stuff of information, you can do a search just like you would do a search and find in Microsoft Word or anything like that. And the controls are the same. Control F, I can go in there, I can find my item, and I can go up and down along the page to find stuff. Sometimes as I'm going through in a document, I don't know what this is talking about. So let's say Chatham Kent Public Health. I have no idea where that is. I'd like to know where that is. So a lot of people will just copy this, open a new tab, paste it in, do a search, whatever. But if you just highlight it and right click on it, one of the things you get is search Google. This will open up a new tab. There's my search. So it's done exactly like whatever's highlighted is now in the search criteria. It's opened a new tab for me. Then I can go do my research. And when I'm done, I just Control W to close the window and I'm back on the page I'm at. So having the ability to go through and just quickly search for items without doing copy, new tab, paste, can save you a lot of time on that. The other thing that's also handy about these pages, let me get into, well, we'll stay here, is let's say that I go in and I'm going to click on this link. I'm going to go to this page here. I go down here. I find another link. I go into here. I keep going. I can go on forever and ever. But let's say I want to go back 2 or 3 pages. Well, you can sit here and go click, 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 click. Or if you click and hold this down, this will give you the history of that tab. So if I only want to go back 3 steps or 4 steps, I can quickly do that without having to go back 1, wait for it to refresh, back 1, wait for it to refresh, back another. And each tab is going to have its own history, right? So there's the history for the Sony stuff. I can show the full history of the browser, so it doesn't matter what tab, but I can go back in time and there's all my history of anything I've done. And the Chrome history is great because quite often we'll do research and we'll go, oh, you know, there was a great page that talked about kittens or headsets or something like that. And then you can just type a couple phrases in there and there you go. It's going to pull that stuff off from the title of the article and stuff. And that search, the Chrome history, I think it goes like you can set it in your preferences. I leave mine on forever and it will collect the history regardless of what device I'm on. So if I'm logged in with the same account, whether it's my work account, my home account, my mobile device, it's going to collect it all there for me to go and search for. So that's really handy as I'm doing, you know, different kind of searching on my mobile device than I would on my document. So let's talk about tabs next, because this is always fun. So we talked about the Control-Shift-T or Command-Shift-T if you're on a Mac to open up recently closed windows. We can also just, if I close this tab here, if I want, I could just, come on, go away. I can right click on here and there is the, where does it go? What? It was there this morning. The Control-Shift-T was right there. I just saw it. Basically, it said open recently closed tab. It was in there. I'm not sure, like an hour ago, because I went and reviewed this. All right, let me try this one more time. Nope. Okay. So imagine, if you will, that it was there. But Control-Shift-T does the same thing. It allows you to do that. Quite often I have like a whole bunch of tabs open and then I'm done with them. Maybe this is the tab I'm interested in keeping. So I would just click and drag this, reorganize it. And one of the nice things that you can do is right click and then close tabs to the right. So that will get rid of everything to the right. Or I can say close all the tabs that I want and get rid of them. And just leave this one open. Lots of cool things we can do. One other thing that quite often, if I'm always looking at the settings here, which I am, and I don't want to lose it, I can pin this. So watch what happens when I go and pin it. It stays on this window. It gets rid of the whole tab length, but it just uses the icon. And that's going to stay there. So as I'm pushing here and I'm closing all windows and stuff like that, I can quickly come back to here and see that item there. You can pin more than one item if you wanted to. So let's say these two, I'm going to be jumping back and forth between these two. Then I can open and close these ones in there, so it doesn't fill up your tabs and stuff. When I've got, I'm going to open this document here. When I'm looking at these documents here and you see these links here, what's nice is I could click and drag this link up top here, and you'll see an arrow jump up You can't, it's right, there's a little arrow, white arrow right below here. But that just means, hey, if you let go, it's going to create a tab with that link and put it up there. So you don't always have to be, copy and pasting and moving this to another tab. You can just quickly drag it up there and it'll take it to a tab. You can also right click on it and open the link in a new tab or a new window. Okay. Now notice when I use this command here, how it puts it in the background. So let me just show that again. Gonna get rid of all this other stuff. So here's this article. I'm going to read this article, but I also want to read all this other stuff. So I'm going to open this up and open link in new tab. I'm going to open up link in new tab because I'm interested. I'm going to keep reading this article. Don't care about that link, but hey, that's a good story. So I'll right click and link in there. So the nice thing about this is while I'm reading, these other pages are still loading up. So it allows you to get all that information. So when I'm done here and I close this or I move to the next tab, the page is already loaded. I'm not waiting for the graphics to load and some of the slower machines to catch up. It's already done. I like to do that a lot. You can also use Control Shift. So if I hit Control and click on this, oh, Trevor, Command. There, see how it opened up there? So if I can just click on Command, I don't actually have to do the right click thing. It does the same thing. And when I do Command Shift, it opens up in a new window completely. There's also a shortcut in the back there, and that also allows me to, let me try it, see if I can get it to work. Yeah, so Shift Control I have on my computer, hopefully that's correct, but notice what happens if I click Shift Control, it's going to open that tab and go right to it right now. So bang, it focuses on that tab, I can read it, close that off, and then I'm back where I was. So the tabs there's lots of cool things that we can do using just some keyboard cuts to open up new tabs and get stuff organized. Open background, open enforces, click, okay, that's good. Now I have bad luck with this machine, but I can take this tab here if I want. I can click and drag it down. And what that's going to do is put it in a brand new window. As we can see, it's just opened up there. I'm just going to get rid of that full screen bit there. So now I've got this brand new window. I can also do this. So here's one of the windows. And where'd the other window go? Come back. There we go. I can see how we got the two windows open. I can also drag between windows. So I want this Windsor stuff to be up in there. I can click and drag that, and notice it just moves it over there. So you can really organize your documents the way you want. One of the reasons you might want to do that comes when we want to try and create bookmarks. Now, you can bookmark these stuff. Let's say that these are two documents that I refer to all the time. So I've got, for those of when I do my tech tips with Trevor, I have 5 different windows that I have to open up. I have to download the video, I have to upload it to Stream, I have to upload it to YouTube, I have to open up the show notes document, and I also have to archive it somewhere else. So I do that constantly all the time. Uses the same 5 or 6 different links. So what I do is I actually create these bookmarks here, and then I can go in and I can anywhere in this piece here, I'm just going to right click, I'm going to add a folder. And in that folder, I'm going to call Start Me Up. So there's my folder. And I'm going to take the URL here for this tab. I'm going to grab it where the lock key is. I'm going to drag it and put it into Start Me Up just by clicking and dragging. I could also just go in and use the star here to drop it in. I like to do it this way because it just pops it in. I drag it to where I want. Now, let's close all these windows. So here's my document. There's my Start Me Up folder. I need to access those documents. I can right click on that, and now I can open all 2 of them or 5 of them or whatever it is. Okay, so I did it earlier with document. I can now open all 5. So when I click on that, there's 5 new tabs that get added to this window that I can now go ahead and look at. Let me just close tabs to the right. The other thing is I can open them up in a brand new window, which is what I often do. So I pop that open. There it is, my 5 different windows, and then I can start working on them. So if you've got a collection of tabs that you're using all the time, put them in a folder. Make it easy on yourself that you don't have to go remember, okay, I have to add this one, then this one, then this one. Put them in a folder, right click, open in a new window, bang, everything's uploaded. So, SharePoint, OneDrive, Outlook, if you want to have all those that open as separate tabs, Google Drive, whatever, bang, put them in a folder, open them up, and then you've got quick access to all those things.
Travel?
Yeah.
Can I just only open one tab instead, for example, the 5 tabs in the folder?
Can you? Oh yeah. Well, you just basically you're going to click on the folder and then just select the one tab.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So that, I mean, the folder does the same thing. Whatever window happens to be highlighted, if I go into here and go ahead and say, show me the Ontario, replaces that tab. So that's one thing to keep in mind. It's going to replace the existing tab. So you might want to open up a new tab. So you can do it that way. But yeah, I usually when I put them in folders, it's typically because I want to open them all up together.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Sure. Yeah. So bookmarks work really. It's a nice segue into bookmarks now. So bookmarks also work really well with all of our tabs in here, right? And I mean, I'm not going to tell you how to do a bookmark because I mean, you all know how to do a bookmark. But I also want you to think about other things that can be bookmarks. I get people doing this all the time. Remember we talked about our search engines and stuff? So I'm going to go in and I'm going to go into Drive and I'm going to search for, what was that? Unleash. So let's say that I have a folder in my Drive. Do I have a folder? Sure. Easy merge with Autocrat. I'm going to go into there and I'm going to go into this folder here. Very similar to what you guys probably end up doing with SharePoint, right? You go into SharePoint, then you go into public documents and blah, blah, blah. You do the folder all the way down. Guess what? That is just a fancy web page, which means it's a bookmark. So at any point in time, you can take this file here and make it a bookmark, put it in a folder, so that when you want to quickly access OneDrive, SharePoint, or whatever, you don't have to go down that whole long path. I've seen people working in SharePoint and it takes them 2 minutes to get to the path where they want. And the beauty of this is I might only be working in this folder here for a week. Okay, fine. I put that at the front here. I go in for the week I need it. I'm going to quickly go in to hit my sponsor links. I'm going to put my invoices in there. I'm going to go over to a sponsor certificate. And then when the project's done and I don't need it anymore, I'm just going to delete it. Bookmarks don't have to be a permanent thing. They can be a temporary, in place kind of thing to allow you to get access to all those different those different areas. So anything that's a web page, that's a bookmark. Okay, that's probably good enough. Actually, that's it so far. I will show you one quick trick that will make things easy for you guys. But other than that, that's pretty much all of it. Any questions so far? Anything we've covered though? Nope. Okay. You either don't care or I'm that good. No questions. So let's. Was someone going to make a comment? Please don't. So let's take a look here. Extensions. Extensions are third-party apps or software that's added to your browser to give you extra functionality. And you should see off to the left here, it says apps here. This is the Chrome Web Store. If it's not there, you can also just type in Chrome Web Store. So the Chrome Web Store has extensions and it has apps. They all actually they don't have apps anymore. They just got rid of them. So they have extensions, and extensions can do all sorts of things. So I mean, you can go through, look at Get Started, and they have all sorts of different stuff available to you. So for example, excuse me. So Honey is one that's great if you do a lot of online shopping. It basically, people submit different codes for cheaper products. And so if you happen to be on, I don't know, an Amazon place, and sometimes it says put in a special code. Well, Honey actually tracks that kind of stuff. And if there's one there, it'll offer and say, hey, you know what? I see you're buying this item. This user here found that this code would save them $10. You could throw something in there. There's other extensions to do. So, I mean, there's an extension to pull in Zoom, working with Google Keep. One that I use a lot is OneNote. So OneNote's like a clipboard. And anytime I find something that I want to save, I can use OneNote to do that. So let me see if I've got OneNote here. Sure, here's one. So here's my MacEwan account. Come on. There we go. And I'm just going to go into, we'll do cbc.ca, sure. And I want to, well, whatever. I'm going to go in, I'm just going to pick something. Sure, Forest Portland. Okay. So let's say I'm doing some research. I want this paragraph here. Well, OneNote is like a clipboard that you can copy and paste it into. And you can do that separate. But if you've got this installed, I can go like this and say, hey, you know what? I want to make a note of this. Oh, are you kidding me? Let's work a school account. Let me just do this real quick. This probably isn't going to be quick. Okay, I'm going to leave that. So OneNote will allow me to take this page, add some notes, put it in the OneNote application. I can also highlight a paragraph like this and right-click on it and clip that selection to OneNote. So it's going to take this note, put it into my OneNote, into whatever notebook I've created, and then not only will it have this paragraph, it's also going to have a link back to this document. So even though I might have this little paragraph that I want to keep and use it later on, it's going to say, well, Trevor, we've got it there. And here's the website if you wanted to read other stuff that was around that. So OneNote's just one of those extensions that you can use a lot. The other one is called Bitly, bit.ly. And when you install the Bitly, it gives you a short version of this URL. So for example, I've got it installed here on my Mac on this account. So rather than pasting this long URL, sometimes they wrap for like 2 paragraphs, I can use a Bitly shortcut. So you need to create an account with a Bitly service. But what it basically says is, hey, you can use our shortcut here when you want this stuff here. And you'll notice that in my stuff, there's all my Google. Google's been retired, so now it's Bitly that I would be using. But any of my stuff, it's rather than a long URL, it's just a short one. Now, the only time you would really use that if someone's going to print the document off. Those shortcuts really are useless because on a web page, you just highlight the text, put in the actual name of the actual link in there. People are just going to click on it. Not a big deal. But if the document's going to be printed off and you don't want that long URL like a poster or a flyer or a handout or something like that, then a nice shortcut like this allows them to be able to get to that thing without having to type in 1,500 characters. So take a look, do a search, and just do a Google search and Chrome, spelled right, best extensions. I mean, everyone's got their own opinion of what the 30 best extensions work in life. Depends on what you want to do. So LastPass, 1Password, Toggle, there's thousands of them. And I mean, you could also do, I think if you do best extensions education, you'll find probably the handier ones because there's so many educators that have gone in there. Google Keep, great one. Screencastify, which basically does screen capturing for up to 10 minutes. Grammarly, which we've already got built in. EduPuzzle, lots of those ones. You'll find lots of really good ones out of the best ones for teachers and stuff, I think. That's it. Questions? Comments? Okay, I'm going to turn off recording, and then if you've got a question, we can pick it up.